Imagine the next word you perhaps quietly mumble is the exact key that could change your entire future, but you don't even notice it. It seems like a strange idea. That's why let's go to the book The Fine Art of Small Talk by Deborah Fine. The author believes that small talk is not a small thing at all, but the first fateful move in the daily chess game of human relationships. Deborah Fine is a former engineer. She escaped from the dry and boring world of her design desk and turned herself into a conversation expert. Deborah Fine carefully dissected her own persistent shyness as if she were a lab rat under close observation. She set her personal components aside, thoughtfully created a detailed training program to help bring introverts out of their shells. Now she has big workshops, big companies sponsor her, and her speeches are so popular that there's no room to move. She has clearly demonstrated that conversation can, in fact, be carefully engineered. Like the process of building a bridge, you can calculate its total load weight, reinforce and strengthen its connections, and observe how traffic moves smoothly and efficiently over the bridge. In the same way, you can plan a conversation, size up your counterpart, see what you should say, where to say it, and then the spark of your success will ignite. Deborah Fine starts the book with the tyranny of silence. She says every morning you pass by people who could be your future boss, your life partner, or even your accomplice in a strange and interesting adventure. But when you walk, you avert your gaze, you look at the ground, you look at the wall, you try not to look at anyone, not to make eye contact. You call being shy a good trait, but the outside world interprets this behavior as being cold, uninterested, and even rude. Deborah says jobs advance with a simple conversation at parties. Romantic relationships form at checkout counters, and neighborhood alliances are born next to rusty mailboxes. If you run away from small talk, you destroy deep relationships before they even start. You think you're protecting yourself, but in reality, you're erasing your social fingerprint until it's as if you never existed at all. Conversational charisma isn't a genetic lottery. It's a circuit that's built through repetition and practice. Here, she refers to Carol Dweck's idea of a growth mindset, meaning skills are elastic and can be developed. And the first habit of successful people, in the words of Stephen Covey, is just that, to be proactive. So, from today on, don't let silence rule you. See every stranger you meet as a practice ground for yourself. Go and talk. On the condition that they let go of the mistaken idea that their personality has been fixed since birth, like a carved stone. So you be the one who starts. Don't wait for someone else to break the ice and come to you. This is a kind of existential fear. If you want connection, get up and take the first step. Statistics show that Americans consider talking to strangers one of their biggest fears. So this means you have an advantage. Other people are more scared than you are. Your hello is like a lifeline to them, and your smile can change their brain chemistry. Deborah Fine lists the steps. She says, when you enter a group, find someone who isn't busy. Lock eyes with them, give them a warm smile as if you're melting their wall of security. Then close the distance. Of course, don't stare at them, that's rude and it will scare them away. Approach them with a genuine smile and smiling eyes. If it's culturally appropriate where you live, shake their hand. Otherwise, nod your head. Behavioral studies say that a genuine smile is a sign of cooperation. And its absence is like putting up a sign that says, "Do not disturb." So, if you sense this, meaning you smiled and tried to start a conversation but saw they didn't smile back at all, quickly change direction. This person is trying to say, "Leave me alone." Then the name game begins. Deborah says to ask for their name. Deborah says to ask for their name. Deborah says to ask for their name. Listen carefully and then repeat their name. Say, "It's a pleasure to meet you." If they have a beautiful name, you can ask them what it means. To start a conversation, use your surroundings. Comment on the bad food or praise the good live music that's there. Then move on to common ground. For example, if they're a programmer, you can say, "Oh, I code too." Of course, only if you really do. Ask them, what keeps you up at night? Ask the other person for a small favor. People like to be helpful. A study across 62 countries showed that people are more alike than they are different. Search a little, try to find the similarities. Continue the conversation with open-ended questions. Instead of saying, "Did you have fun?" ask, "What was the most interesting thing you saw on your trip?" If the person gives you short answers and shows no interest, respectfully change course. Don't interrogate them. A conversation should proceed with mutual consent, not be verbal torture. If the other person brings up a specific topic, like an interest in a sport or a special pin on their clothes, ask about it with genuine curiosity and pay attention to the small signs that show what they're proud of. This is the key to unlocking a pleasant conversation. These words are like footprints that lead us to stories, but we have to be careful where we step, because some words act like identity landmines. Someone's accent isn't an invitation to ask, "Oh, where are you from? What a cute accent you have." Curiosity without empathy can turn into an insult. Saying goodbye is also an art in itself. Deborah Fine says you should be honest in your goodbyes, but with a dash of appreciation. For example, say, "I promised myself I'd go grab a snack. Thanks for that interesting story. Thanks for telling me about your grandmother." And part ways like that. Don't just suddenly say, "I have to go, goodbye." If you say something like, "I'm going to find a snack," and leave that way, at least you've built some trust. But if you leave and suddenly disappear, people will feel like you were playing them. If you want to see the person again, say so directly. And there's an unwritten rule that says, if you want the person to trust you, send them a message within 12 hours of meeting them. Deborah Fine says preparation is espionage. What does that mean? She says that before any event or meeting, she would try to prepare some questions for herself. About the speaker, about the event, or even the presentation or the planned activities. And she tries to have some small, interesting anecdotes ready in her mind about the different things on the agenda. A conversation is like a respiratory system with 2 lungs. If you only inhale oxygen and don't give anything back, you suffocate the space. So you have to have things to share for an exchange to spark. Active listening is a physical exercise. Meaning, if you want to prove you're listening to the other person, lean your body a little towards them. Put your phone away, nod your head, but not in a dry, mechanical way. Do it as if you're really listening. Use those common phrases that everyone says. I mean, in the middle of their sentence, say, "Uh-huh, interesting. Tell me more about that topic." This way, if you ask a question about the topic they're talking about, it shows you're listening. When you're talking to someone, it's not as important to try to teach them something as it is to really show them that you've truly heard them. They say people like to feel that they've been heard. It doesn't matter if you're even telling them an important scientific point. When someone feels you value them, they'll always remember you, and that's when a network begins to form. Speak assertively, not passively or aggressively. Instead of saying, "Excuse me, can I ask a question?" state your request assertively. "I need to know this information by this deadline." Of course, this isn't about being pushy. Be assertive, but respect boundaries. Avoid being aggressive. There are many other books on conversation, dialogue, and how to initiate connections. This was just the start of a short book about understanding that conversation should have a special place in our daily lives. Now it's time to put these elements together. Let's actively begin. Let's approach people, ask questions, listen, respectfully exit the conversation, and of course follow up assertively. This is the alchemy of conversation, turning ordinary words into the gold of relationships. Now the question is, do you dare, like a shopkeeper who talks to a customer and draws them in, to talk to people as well? Do you dare to ask that colleague who always has such a serious face, which book changed your life? What good movies have you seen lately? Now it's time to practice. Let's see how we can change our lives through conversation.